We are delighted to welcome 60s style icon and model Pattie Boyd to the Style That Binds Us podcast. Pattie inspired songs such as Something, Layla, and Wonderful Tonight. She was at the heart of swinging London and rock and roll as she balanced life as a highly in-demand model and her marriage to George Harrison of the Beatles and later Eric Clapton. We thoroughly enjoyed reading her two books, Wonderful Tonight, George Harrison, Eric Clapton, and Me, as well as Pattie Boyd, My Life in Pictures. We cannot wait to hear all about Pattie's life, career, what she's up to now, and more. We hope you enjoyed this episode on the Style That Binds Us podcast with Pattie Boyd. For our audience who may not have gotten to hear all of these fabulous podcast episodes that I've been listening to, retelling your time as a model. So will you tell us about life as a model in the 60s?
Well, it was a very different life to how models are nowadays. We had to do an awful lot of things ourselves. For example, if I have a booking to do, say, a shoot for a magazine, they'll tell me how many pairs of shoes I have to bring. If I have to bring any wigs, like a black wig or a curly hair. And with every shoot, I had to bring my makeup and hair, brush, comb, makeup, shoes, jewelry. So you have these great big bags you carry from one studio to another, ready for a shoot.
My goodness. And do you have to bring your portfolio as well?
And the portfolio, because just in case, occasionally, after one shoot, you might have to then go and see another photographer or go for a meeting. So if you have your portfolio with you, you're all ready to go.
Oh my gosh. Well, you can see the images that Pattie is in, many Vogue covers in her book, the one that is called My Life in Pictures. So that is where you can get this full scoop on those photos.
I feel like I remember Pat Cleveland talking about that too. Having to bring your own makeup and all of your things with you. That is so different today, right?
Yes. I mean, they're almost picked up by limousines today.
Right. Exactly.
There for them and hairdressers.
Right.
No, we were more on.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Will you give us a peek into life in London in the 60s, what it was like?
Well, I just felt that there was a time where I sensed there was going to be a change. It felt as if there was going to be a change in the air. Suddenly I noticed the guys walking down Chelsea, the King's Road, they were all growing their hair long and they started wearing more cool clothes. They didn't necessarily wear jeans, they wear different kind of coloured trousers, different shirts, hair getting longer. And then, I don't know, there just seemed like a buzz or something in the air. And the girls' dresses, we were all, when we left home, our skirts were like below our knees. And then time went on, they just got shorter and shorter. And then trousers came, had bell-bottom jeans and trousers. Everything just changed. We no longer looked like our mothers.
Ah, that is very interesting because I feel like we're in another time of trying to figure out, what 50 looks like, what 70 looks like. We're not dressing like our mothers again. So it's interesting that you all really went through that for sure.
Yeah. That was great. Everything was changing. It was like a zeitgeist everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to Paris to do some modeling work there. And I think Paris hadn't quite caught up to London. And they were shocked at how we looked.
Oh, that is so interesting. I can sort of imagine that. Well, what was a day like in your life then?
So I would make sure I woke up at like 8 o'clock. I would put my alarm clock at the other end of the bedroom because I get out of bed to turn it off. Right. And
very smart.
And then I'd have a list of studios that I had to go to as a go-sees, or where I had a job. And then off I went, traveled by public transport to get from here to there. Some jobs were really great because I'd be working with other girlfriends or other models. And so we would have fun. It wasn't all glamorous. Some of it was difficult to make it look good.
Absolutely. And hard work. I mean, long hours, right? Yes.
Yeah, long hours.
Mhm.
And sometimes photographers would take a very long time to get the shot they were happy with.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then what would you do afterward?
Afterwards,
I
I
mean, did
might,
you go out?
I might go back to see my boyfriend, go out, or go and hang out with some girlfriends.
Mhm.
Wine bars were just beginning to open up then.
Mm.
Wine bars and coffee bars.
So we mentioned this a little bit, but is there anything more to say about this big transition from the twin sets, the traditional style, into this 60s fabulous fashion?
Now, I think in most fashion cities in the world, Paris is number one because they had all those amazing designers, Balenciaga, Dior, Chanel, etc. And when people think of fashion, they think of those high-end designers.
Mm-hmm.
And there weren't really any in England at the time. Paris dominated everything. Except in the 60s, suddenly Mary Quant
Mm-hmm.
came up, emerged with these wonderful new designs that were for people who were young. They weren't for people that are older with loads of money,
Mm-hmm.
which is what Paris designers was for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was nothing for us, for young people, nothing really good. And then Mary Quant emerged with most fabulous designs, most fantastic clothes. She was really good at doing kind of geometric designs on dresses and matching different colors together, like, for example, a chartreuse green with a blue. And, she was really very talented and clever. So we had Mary Quant coming up. And then behind her was Ozzie Clark, who was my favorite designer. He would design, his designs were based on the 1940s look of just a little bit of shoulder, using silk chiffon, sometimes with a pattern, sometimes just a block color. And he made women look very feminine. And he would cut fabric on the bias. So if a fabric is cut on the bias, it's fine for any shape. It doesn't matter if you have bigger hips or smaller hips or whatever shape it's really good. And he was very aware of what he was doing. Then we had Bieber, who was fun, and people would go to London and go to Kensington High Street, where Bieber's shop was. And you just walk in, the music was so cool. We'd never had music in shops before. And people trying on different clothes, and boyfriends were there saying yes or no. And it was just like a place to be. It was a hangout store.
How much fun. That just sounds fabulous.
And then I had a girlfriend called Pat Booth. She was a writer as well as a model, but she's very entrepreneurial. So she had a little boutique in the King's Road in Chelsea, where she would buy clothes from young designers and put them all in her shop. And John Lennon thought the best place to be would be Pat Booth's shop, sitting in the window watching everyone go by. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that now?
No. No, that's hysterical. People recognized him. Did it not cause a huge
No, well, no, it didn't, because you see, these were early days for the Beatles. Not everyone knew of them or knew what they looked like. And John thought this was fun. It was fun.
I bet it was fun.
Because all the girls would come and look in the window and look at the clothes, and then John very close to
at it. That is a great story. All right. So we've talked about that. How did you create your own personal style aesthetic during that time?
I don't know. I just went with what I thought what colors suited me. And I think colors are cyclical in fashion. The end of last year, the beginning of this year, I was madly in love with brown, like a cappuccino brown. I thought it was wonderful. And I realized so many other colors go with brown except for blue. I would base my style and my clothes of choice on the colors, and then other colors that go with them.
Okay.
Yeah, great idea. A lot of people try to put blue with brown, and it really doesn't.
It hurts my eyes.
Yes, I totally agree.
Oh, there's the funniest photo in your book, My Life in Pictures, with the Rolling Stones, and Mick Jagger looks like he's about 8 years old in that
Oh,
photo.
now, here is an example of what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes you have to wear the most horrible clothes. And if you look at that photograph again, you'll see the skirt is a length that in my dreams I would never wear. And I thought later, God, why did I have to wear that dreadful dress when I meet the Stones? You know, ridiculous. It's the same. In a way, it's quite similar to when I first met the Beatles, when I was chosen to be in that film, A Hard Day's Night, and I had to wear a school uniform. Who wants to meet famous people in a school uniform? Kept happening to me.
Well,
Well, it didn't seem to matter. So when you're moving from the 60s into the 70s, how did your style change between those decades?
I think my style changed. It became a little more sophisticated, not so hippie-ish, and it's more sort of put together, more thought. For example, I now started liking jackets with a proper sleeve, with a proper shoulder, nicely cut shoulder.
Right.
So it became, yeah, a little sharper, and my trousers became straight and not flared.
Right. A little more sophisticated.
Yeah, and then I did like Rosie started doing maxi coats, which was, as you know, a coat that goes down to past the calf, which is really good with trousers underneath. And we weren't wearing long dresses then.
Right. And I think they're showing maxi coats and duster coats again this year.
I like them. I think it's nice. And for summer as well, light duster coat. And you can wear a dress the same length, maybe. Also now this year I can wear a long skirt with a duster coat over it.
Right.
Summer.
Yeah. And then did you ever get to keep the clothes that you were modeling if you did like them?
No. Occasionally, they would say, well, if you really wanted it, you must get in touch with the manufacturer and buy it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sometimes I thought that was, wasting too much time. I'm on to the next thing.
Sure.
Unless it was really, really special.
Right.
For sure. Okay, let's talk beauty. What was your beauty routine? You're a fabulous model, creating all these iconic images in the 60s and 70s.
First thing, it's removing my eye makeup. Then removing makeup on my face and neck, décolletage, and then toning the whole thing, and then putting night cream on. And then in the morning, sometimes there's a little bit of dark under my eyes, so clean all that off. Wash my face with hot water and a flannel, and then splash cold water to get the pores back to close, and then some day cream.
And is that now or then? That's now?
That was then. Now I have to wear a little bit of skin tint, which is not as thick as a foundation, which I find too thick. I also find that it goes into the cracks, into the line face. Yeah. So a tint I really like, because it's light and it gives you a little bit of color.
Right. Yes, I like that too, very much. It's not quite there yet to have any crevices like we have. But
it's so sad, but there's nothing we can do to stop it.
I know.
So magazine after me, a magazine. Everyone says, "Oh, I get rid of your lines."
Right.
I'm sorry. Once it starts, it's all too late.
That's right, and it's inevitable. Did you ever share clothes with George or Eric?
I think I might have worn some of Eric's jumpers, because he always had great jumpers. He was quite a snappy dresser.
Really?
Yeah. But sometimes I'd wear his, like my brothers when I was growing up. The brother next to me, I'd wear his jumpers sometimes, and he'd always know. Even though I fold them back, put them in his drawer, he'd know.
You didn't get away with it.
Oh, that's hysterical. Well, you were one of the most stylish women in the 60s, and also you are friends with the most stylish people at that time. So, did y'all get inspiration from each other? Style inspiration, outfit ideas?
Twiggy and I became great friends at one time, and we go on holiday together with our husbands, whatever. She and I used to copy each other with makeup.
Ah,
Sometimes one time we did a session for Italian Vogue.
mhm.
Justin de Villeneuve was taking the photographs. We copied each other, absolutely. And then we started with a pencil, brown pencil, dotting little freckles over our
Right,
face,
right, right.
which was kind of cute at the time,
Yeah, of course.
but not to smudge it,
Right,
with your
right, right, right.
later. I mean, I used to lend my clothes to all sorts of people.
Ah.
Sometimes I'd get them back, and sometimes I'd forget who I'd lent them to.
It's
I
interesting too when you're younger and when you're around other women and you pick up, this mascara that they love, or this look that they love, or this designer or brand or little store or whatever. And when you're older, you're not necessarily as around as many other women to have that kind of girl time and,
yeah,
learn.
yes. And so sometimes, even now, I see a girl wearing something, and I think, oh God, I love that, and
Right.
find out where they got it from. So I thought, God, it looked great on her. She's a different person, color hair, different colorings, different.
Exactly. Different body type. Yeah.
Doesn't work. It doesn't always work.
Right. You're definitely right about that. You were part of a revolution, basically, right? And
The
what was
revolution.
the revolution? And what
Yeah.
was that like?
Well, do you know what? I think I was very aware of it because I started meeting all these extraordinary people, very creative people, not, obviously fashion people, designers, hairdressers started to become quite cool, and they were doing interesting things with hair, like Vidal Sassoon cut Mary Quant's hair in such an amazing way, and then Leonard cut Twiggy's hair really short.
Hmm.
And so anyone in the creative world was doing wonderful things. Painters like David Hockney, we'd hang out with him, and he'd show us the most amazing paintings that he had done. And then music, of course, I'd hang out with the Stones or the Beatles, or we'd pop into their recording sessions. And everybody seemed to know of each other.
Mhm.
But it was cool. Nobody was hysterical, and bit, we just were, maybe we behaved a little badly by just turning up, but it was all fine somehow. It was really
Right.
fine. We all
Right.
looked so good. Everyone looked amazing.
Right.
We
God.
kept a joy and a happiness going.
Hmm.
Oh, yes, I know. Mom and I watched during Omicron, during that whole new wave, we watched the Let It Be documentary, which you are in. You do make an appearance. I don't know if you got to see it yet.
No, but somebody told me I did see one little bit where I walk into the studio. I think
Yeah.
probably tell George what we're having for dinner.
That's
And then walk out.
well, I know. It was actually called Get Back. I guess that was
Yeah.
what they thought it might be called, and then it changed to Let It Be. Okay, so let's talk about advice for future generations or generations now, because now is such a tumultuous time, but it's so different from this revolution that you were a part of in the 70s. So, what is your advice for people today about making the change that they want to see?
I want them to be brave, In order for anything to change, and for any way to get what you want, you have to be brave.
Yeah.
We created a freedom for ourselves, and the way we thought, and the books we read, and the music we listened to, it was all breaking away from our parents. And taking that one step of bravery in your life will set you free, because from there, once you've done it once, you're on the way to a great and fabulous life.
That's really, really true. It just takes practice if you can just make that leap.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also feel like right now is not like when you all were together, it was such a a creative explosion. And I don't feel like that's really happening now.
It's not. It's almost as if it's all over, as if there's nothing else except for AI. I mean, really,
Oh,
you know,
right.
I know.
it makes me weep really because I feel so
Right.
sad.
I know.
I do, honestly.
I do too.
Even in fashion, it's like
Especially in music.
all the luxury brands are copying each other.
Yeah.
And Patty, will you share how you think about life? I was listening to one podcast and you were talking about, not sitting there, going after it,
Mhm.
all the energy and everything. So will you give us some insight into how you view life and how you should go about it?
I don't know what comes over me, but I suddenly have waves of inspiration. I suddenly think, oh, I must know and learn how to cook so and so. For
Yeah.
example, a vegetable I hadn't thought of for years. I must investigate this vegetable and make it taste incredible. Do you know what I mean? And so I like to suddenly surprise myself as well. And so cooking is something that I really love to do. I also love taking photographs. I am a little lazy, however. I don't always use my proper big camera because my iPhone is perfect and I can take lots of nice photographs with that. And I like gardening. Now, in a bit of a hurry, I created a vegetable garden and I planted all sorts of things, cauliflowers and carrots and onions and leeks and all sorts of things and artichokes. Anyway, I did make a mistake because I hadn't read the instructions. I planted the carrots too close to each other. So it looks like instead of pulling out one carrot, I've got a family of carrots. And they're all turned around each other. It now looks like a piece of sculpture.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
So there's always something more to do. There's always something to improve on.
Yes, I agree with you. We
And
just
that gives you joy. Give you joy. Yeah, give you joy to find out what's wrong. How can I make it better?
right. I'm so impressed with the artichokes and everything. That's a lot.
Love it.
Yes.
And sweet corn. My sweet corn are quite big.
Oh, yum. That's
I'm
great.
surprised they grow in England. Anyway, they're quite happy.
I know, same.
Yes, and you can. Patty even started a podcast during COVID because she had
Right.
so much energy. What was she
Right.
to do? So she created these cooking episodes.
Yeah, I did. Lockdown lunches, they were called.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes, I'd make all these great lunches just for Rod. No one else around, obviously.
Right.
It was lovely summer and I'd photograph them. And
Oh, that's
I thought,
wonderful.
you know what? Lockdown lunches for anyone who's bored, who doesn't
Right,
know what else to cook.
and you got to be creative.
Exactly. Yeah.
What was it like on set when the Beatles were recording? Were you able to be a part of that? And what did you wear and all that kind of stuff?
I can't remember what I wore.
Mhm.
I only was in the studio twice when they were recording. I sang on Happy Birthday.
Yes, you did. And there was another one, Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
fun. Oh, that's great.
That's fun. Yeah, it was fabulous. Great fun.
That's wonderful. Did you go on set when Eric was recording?
No, did I? I think I might have done. Yes, I was probably in the control room when he was recording. Once I remember, being in Jamaica.
Yeah.
But it was really fun going on tour with Eric. That was fantastic because I would stand at the side of the stage, and so I could photograph him and his band and see the audience that were ecstatic. It was amazing to be in. Yeah,
listening to the songs about you, written for you.
I know.
It's really remarkable. Yes, it's remarkable.
Because the Beatles, you didn't get to go really, except maybe if it was a concert for charity or something.
No, darling, I didn't even. I only saw the Beatles on stage once. The security was just enormous. It was going to be a nightmare. So the one time I did go was in London at a place called Hammersmith. And George told me and my friends the last number that we should listen to before leaving, because it wasn't going to be the last. They would be playing 2 more.
Oh, okay.
So we knew we sat quite near the emergency exit. The right time, we got up and left. When anyway, a bunch of girls saw us and they followed us up down this nasty little kind of like corridor. It was quite dark, and they were kicking me and pulling my hair. Yeah. And so one of my friends, the car was kind of opposite the road, the main road, and he said to me, "Just run, and I'll start the engine. Just run, and we'll go."
Wow.
That was pretty scary. And I could think, why are they doing this to me? They don't even know me.
Right. And they were doing it because they were jealous of you?
Yeah, I suppose so. I guess they must have been jealous, or they didn't see why I should be going out with George and he wasn't with them, I suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know how girls can be.
Found something. It popped up on Facebook.
Yeah.
And look, I sent it pictures to you. Of you.
No.
Yeah, when you're talking about the 60s.
Show me.
Oh, great.
And it was the picture of you in a Mary Quant dress.
No.
With the Rolling Stones.
We've got to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go get it. I'll go get my phone.
Okay.
Okay, you find it. That'll be great.
And there's a picture of you with George just coming back.
Oh.
How funny when we're doing this.
Right. It's okay. I know. I can't wait to see it.
No, nor can I. Here's the photograph I was telling you about.
Oh,
Can you see it? Can you see it?
Oh, wow.
Yes, a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. That's the horrible dress.
Wow. That is so cool. So was it a longer dress?
Yeah, horrible. And then this is nice. Can you see
Aww. That's so cute.
Oh, that is so cute.
I love that outfit you have. I haven't seen that photo.
this? Nor have I.
Oh, you haven't?
And you look tanned and
look, and those colours.
obviously
Been to Greece. Oh, look, and braided my hair. Yeah.
Wow.
To date in 1967.
Wow.
Only a few years ago.
Right, exactly.
Amazing.
What does that feel like when you see these pictures of yourself that people put up that you don't even know about?
I know. I can't understand where they find them.
That's why I thought you would want to see it, because
I do.
So, Pattie, I loved reading your book, Wonderful Tonight.
Yes.
The whole book, but especially the epilogue. I was wondering how it was going to end and where it was going to end. So I wanted to talk about the fact that those powerful and beautiful love songs, they put such immense pressure on you to be perfect. You felt that you needed to be. I thought that was really fascinating. And it opened my eyes to the weight of it at the same time, instead of this huge, incredible compliment. So will you walk us through, so after leaving both marriages, how you went about discovering and rediscovering yourself?
I went into such a emotional decline because I thought, without being Mrs. Famous George Harrison, Mrs. Famous Eric Clapton, who am I?
Sure.
I got lost without the weight of the fame and the well-known names surrounding me. I felt empty. I didn't know who I was. This is the time to sort of see somebody professional who could help me, build me back up again, and say. And the one thing she said, which I'll never forget, was, "Pattie, always buy yourself a bunch of flowers."
Oh,
what a thing to say when you're feeling depressed and lonely and like a nobody. To buy yourself flowers is an amazing thing to do. It's a very powerful thing to do.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's so simple. Right?
So simple. Yeah.
And it's so emotional.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, previously I would have thought, no, why would I waste flowers on myself?
Right, exactly. Who's going to see them but me?
Yes.
Wow. Well, do you feel like, I mean, I've been through 2 divorces as well, and I know how painful that is. But do you feel like, from talking with the therapist and everything, did you start a new path of like self-discovery and maybe become someone that you might not have ever been if you had stayed?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Because this is a prime example of being brave and taking that big step. And it actually is freeing to realize that you've got no one to answer to, actually. And yeah, and then you begin to know yourself better. And you can have those wonderful times when you are on your own. Don't read a book, don't do anything, just see where your mind takes you. And what it starts thinking about, not provoked by anything at all. And that is interesting.
It is interesting. And you get to garden and cook and do all of these things that bring you joy. And those were probably not things that you were doing when you were married to these musicians. But I still think this, like those songs aren't just, special songs at the time. They're songs that bring me back to my high school and junior high. And when you still hear them, they're very emotional songs. Those are some of the most famous songs ever, Yes. And so what is it like when you hear those songs now?
I feel so close to them, to the point where they are part of my being.
Right. Amazing.
They are part of my makeup.
Yes. That's a gift. We want to know what's next for you.
Well, I think it's about time I started winding down all the work I do, i.e., photographing exhibitions. In a way, I'd like to sell my entire archive and not do it anymore. It is exhausting. In the last months, I went to New York, New Jersey, Miami, Japan.
Good grief.
And Greece. And it's exhausting. I can't totally relax because I think, when have I got another interview?
Yeah.
I would just like to be calm and not
see what that feels like.
Not have so many commitments.
Right. What would that even feel like, right? Just to be able to.
Yeah. Suddenly, the day is gorgeous. I'm going to take off and go down to the South Coast, or catch a plane to Ireland, or
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good advice to all of us.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. It's been so nice to meet you both.
Absolutely. You too, most definitely. And people will have a link in the show notes so people can get the books, both books.
Oh, yes. To your website, to your social media, etc. And please let us know if you're in New York. And if you have a book signing or something, we would love to meet you and support the book signing, the event.
Thank you, Danny. I will be in Miami in April. There's a big art thing. I don't know what it is. And a big store.
Fabulous.
So I'm going to go down. I'll be there in April.
That's the perfect time to go. It won't be too hot.
Yeah. So it can go all go on my social media pages. So I'll let you know.
Good. Okay, great. All right. Well, have a wonderful weekend, and thanks again so much.
You too. My pleasure. Really nice chat. I think we've had.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, take care.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.